At this stage, it's hard to imagine things looking much worse for former President Donald Trump. Controversies connected to the Jeffrey Epstein case are still making headlines. Internationally, he's faced fresh embarrassment in dealings with foreign leaders. And both at home and abroad, his trade moves are under fire. The economy is showing serious strain, and today, he attempted to distract from the situation with a high-profile moment in the Oval Office. A move that appeared to backfire almost instantly. The awkward exchange raised eyebrows, and we're going to break it all down. But before we dive in, if you're enjoying our coverage, please take a second to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep bringing you more content. Now, let's set the stage with some important background on how this economic situation unfolded.
It is nearly impossible to get more than 80 votes on something in the Senate these days. I mean, maybe if you're renaming a post office, but rarely happens. It occasionally happens, though.
Nominations confirmed. The ayes are 86. The nays are 8. The nomination is confirmed.
Okay, that was the vote just last year on the nomination of Erica McIntyre to be the Commissioner of Labor Statistics. And she was nominated by then President Biden, but she was seen as such a non-controversial choice for a completely apolitical kind of nerdy job that she got 86 votes for her confirmation. And she had the support of many loyal Trump fans, like, say, Tommy Tuberville, the current Secretary of State Marco Rubio, some guy named J.D. Vance. Wonder what he's up to these days. What's he up to? You know, lots of things. Along with 35 other Republicans. They all voted to confirm Erica McIntyre to be the Commissioner of Labor Statistics. Now, most people were probably not following that vote at the time. I don't think we were taking it live or anything. Most people probably do not know what the Commissioner of Labor.
Donald Trump is pushing back against economic numbers that don't match his message. With the economy under pressure and critics blaming his tariffs and budget choices, he's pointing to the stock market as proof of success. But after inviting a supporter to praise him, a follow-up moment showed him struggling to deliver his own words.
I called the president because I had some very good news from some new data that we've been able to put together that no one has ever seen before, and I'll just very quickly go through these. So I was telling the president that he did the right thing in calling for a new head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, because this shows that over the last 2 years of the Biden administration, the BLS overestimated job creation by 1.5 million jobs. Mr. President, that's a gigantic error. And I don't know if she's, I'm not
It might not have been an error, that's the bad part. If it was an error, it would be one thing. I don't think it's an error. I think they did it purposely.
Whether that, you may well be right, but even if it wasn't purposefully, it's incompetence.
Right.
Okay, so 1.5 million jobs overestimated. We have access to the some data that no one else does on what has happened.
During the press briefing, an economist struggled to explain claims about rising incomes for Americans, a talking point often repeated by Trump and his allies. Trump has also made questionable statements about job creation statistics, trying to argue that while the economy struggles, it's still benefiting certain groups. Using a chart to make his case, he attempted to speak on the issue but ended up stumbling over his own words.
Something, but this one chart really says it better than anything. If you look at this is great, but this chart is pretty amazing right here. All new numbers. Okay?
Donald Trump recently claimed that the chart says it all, while pointing to a graph filled with unclear and misleading numbers. Over time, he has shifted economic claims to fit his narrative, whether saying the economy is booming or collapsing. But no chart can hide the reality people live every day. Rising costs and financial pressure, signing bills, holding press events, or posting online won't erase that. And no matter how much he tries, past controversies continue to surface. Independent media and a few remaining voices in mainstream outlets are making sure those issues stay in the public conversation, including journalists like Lawrence O'Donnell.
And only after that was Todd Blanche sent to Florida to speak to a convicted federal prisoner who has never spoken to a federal investigator before and never testified at her criminal trial and never denied raping children at her sentencing hearing when she did speak, pleading for a light sentence. Nancy Cortez wisely asked, "So you don't know whether you came up in the conversation?" And Donald Trump said, "I don't know." Donald Trump's criminal defense lawyer, who has never been replaced as Donald Trump's criminal defense lawyer and presumably would immediately revert to Donald Trump's personal criminal defense lawyer as soon as Donald Trump needs one again, went to speak with Ghislaine Maxwell. And Donald Trump is claiming today that he doesn't know whether his personal criminal defense lawyer asked Ghislaine Maxwell about him or if Ghislaine Maxwell said anything about him. Some press reports already indicate, naming sources who are aware of what was discussed, that Ghislaine Maxwell said nothing that could be harmful to Donald Trump. That's already public information, and it is obvious information. It is the only reason for Donald Trump's criminal defense lawyer to go to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell. His mission there was to try to extricate Donald Trump from his own personal history of friendships with two sex criminals, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. The family of one of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein's victims issued a statement about the vice president's meeting. Virginia Giuffre was found by Ghislaine Maxwell in Donald Trump's spa in Mar-a-Lago in Florida. She was working there in high school. As soon as Ghislaine Maxwell saw her, she began planning to drag that high school student into the hell that awaited her at Jeffrey Epstein's house, and she did just that. Virginia Giuffre spoke of the years and years of nightmares and distrust that she suffered after what Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein did to her. Virginia Giuffre never found her balance again and took her own life just 4 months ago. Today, her family issued this statement. We understand that Vice President J.D. Vance will hold a strategy session this evening at his residence with administration officials. Missing from this group is, of course, any survivor of the vicious crimes of convicted perjurer and sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Their voices must be heard above all. We reiterate that Ghislaine Maxwell should have remained in a maximum security prison and does not deserve the luxuries currently afforded her. The White House reporters who changed the subject for Donald Trump both times, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, came up in the questioning today, could have asked a question about that statement by Virginia Giuffre's family. Why aren't the voices of the victims being heard at J.D. Vance's meeting about the Epstein situation? That would have been a good follow-up question to the two good questions that were asked today. But the rest of the White House reporters wasted their opportunities to question Donald Trump exactly as he expected them to do. Donald Trump said the magic word today about the Epstein situation. He said it's a hoax. That's the magic word that Donald Trump has been using for years, since it was exposed that Russia was helping the Trump campaign in 2016. And that is what Russia did. That is what Vladimir Putin did. They worked on one side of the presidential campaign to help one candidate and hurt the other. And that is what the Mueller investigation found and proved. And Donald Trump has been calling that a hoax ever since. And that has always been proven true. That is really what happened, but he calls it a hoax. And Donald Trump calling it a hoax worked. It worked with most of his followers. Donald Trump believes the word hoax is like a drug that he can administer to his followers so that they will then swallow anything else that he says after that word hoax. And it hasn't worked yet with every Republican member of the House of Representatives when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Some of them still want to know what's in the Epstein files. And some of them will get repeated opportunities to make that clear in votes in the House of Representatives. Our first guest tonight has just introduced a resolution in the House of Representatives opposing a Trump pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell or a Trump reduction in sentence for Ghislaine Maxwell. The resolution, quote, affirms that Ghislaine Maxwell's conviction and sentencing were more than warranted by the facts, and any receipt of a pardon, commutation, or other form of clemency by Ghislaine Maxwell would deny survivors the justice they deserve and formally opposes the granting of a pardon, commutation, or other form of clemency.
Thank goodness for Lawrence O'Donnell, one of the few in mainstream media consistently talking about Trump's decline. In his press conferences, Trump keeps dodging tough questions, especially anything related to Epstein. But we're not going to let that topic disappear. We'll keep covering it. And if you want to support that work, hit subscribe, drop a like, and leave a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.